Let's take a look at this 4-inch jointer. This jointer is model 37-290. This machine carries the Homecraft branding as well as Delta Milwaukee branding. In general, each manufacturing location for Delta or Rockwell used its own scheme or system for the serial numbers. Many Homecraft branded machines were made in Freeport, Illinois, but nobody seems to be able to find the details to decode serial numbers that were from the Freeport, Illinois location. In this case, that doesn't matter because this Homecraft branded machine is a bit of an exception to the rule. It doesn't have a Freeport serial plate. It has a serial plate branded Rockwell Delta from the Milwaukee location with a serial number that appears to indicate 1948. Back in that era, they made two 4-inch jointers. This is the one they called their deluxe model. They also made model 37-110, which was a bit more basic. When I look at the Delta catalog from 1940, they show a 4-inch jointer that looks pretty much exactly like this one. Back then it was called model 290. It looks like Delta didn't start using the Homecraft brand name until 1946 when Rockwell acquired Arcade Manufacturing located in Freeport, Illinois. At that time, they apparently decided to integrate this product, which they already had, into the Homecraft line of tools, and they changed the model number to 37-290. But this design was something they already had before they started using the Homecraft brand name. This jointer is very similar in design to the 6-inch model of that same era, except everything is a bit smaller. This machine is mounted on a splayed leg base, which was typical for Delta machines of that era. Unlike the splayed leg bases that were used later in Delta's history, this one is welded instead of bolt together. However, this machine has an Atlas branded motor, which may be about the right age, but I don't think was original to this jointer. Machines in this era were often sold without a motor so that you could provide your own if you wanted. Or you could purchase this machine with a Delta motor included. According to the 1948 catalog, that standard Delta motor would have been 1725 RPM. This motor is 3450 RPM, so I assume that whoever put this motor on had to change the pulleys to get the right cutter head speed. The cutter head pulley on this machine appears to be original. It is aluminum and it is 2 3/4 inches in diameter, which is exactly the specs that were given for the original machine. And then, of course, to get a reasonable cutter head speed, the motor pulley had to be chosen to be appropriate for the motor speed. This pulley is 3 3/4 inches. After measuring the pulleys and doing a little bit of math, starting with 3450 RPM from the motor, it looks like the cutter head speed is going to be around 4700 RPM. Some might say that's a little bit fast for this jointer, but it's probably not in the realm of outrageous. One aspect of this machine that is considered rather unfortunate is that the shaft for the cutter head has a diameter of 9/16 of an inch, and it has a flat section for mounting the pulley with a set screw. 9/16 diameter is not a standard size for a pulley, so this pulley is difficult to replace. I've seen people wishing that they had just used a 5/8 inch shaft with a key slot. When trying to replace this pulley, the most common approach is to get a 1/2 inch pulley and bore the center out to 9/16. It was fairly common back then with this kind of stand to use blocks of wood under the motor to adjust the belt tension. This little jointer has 3 knives on the cutter head. Simple straight knives, of course. No fancy helical carbide insert heads from Delta back in 1948 anyway. Here's what the fence adjustment looks like on the right end of this jointer. I consider it fortunate that the pointer for the scale didn't get lost somewhere over the years. Whether you call it Homecraft, Delta, or Rockwell, I've seen a number of very knowledgeable people say that the little 290 is the best 4-inch jointer ever made. That said, a 4-inch jointer is pretty small, too small for a lot of things that we want to do in a wood shop. But these little 4-inch jointers are just so darn cute. Or rather, this one would be cute if it got a full restoration. Right now, it's not very pretty at all. Check the description of this video for additional information about the 37-290 and links to various documents related to this machine.